Hey, what's up, y'all? Y'all really liked my last Reddit Reacts, and we haven't done one in a while, so we're going to do another one. Today, I'm going to go through Summonerschool and kind of give my takes on some of the questions and some of the takes and whatnot, and we'll see. Okay, so first post here. How do I ever deal with Vladimir? I honestly don't know how to approach this champion. One of the best scaling champions in the game, so I have to win lane. Out sustains my poke before first back. 100-0 tower dive speed before mythic, and it isn't even close. I've almost never won lane versus a decent Vladimir. People say to abuse the window when his pool's down, but he just plays back for 20 seconds. If I do end up harassing those 20 seconds, enemy jungle will be in my lane. I don't know what to do. Sounds like a rant post, but I really need help. I believe that Vladimir is a fundamentally flawed champion. I think that his trade patterns are so... Well, okay. Is a champion that scales? Yes. That has sustain? Yes. But the one thing he doesn't have, especially early game, is wave control. And since he doesn't have wave control, you can slow build waves, stack them in his face, and you can avoid his trade patterns because they're super obvious. And then you can stack them in his face, crash them, and then you just go 2v2. You go 2v2, you in the jungle, you go invade, you go dive top, you go dive bottom, you go gank the lanes, you go do objectives. If you're playing against Vlad, you probably won't solo kill a really good Vlad. All right, like let's say you're playing against a Vladimir that of your skill level, you're platinum 4. The goal shouldn't be to solo kill him. It should be to slow stack waves, stay even in CS, and then just interact more. And the more you interact, he cannot keep up with that. He's not going to 2v2 as well. He's not going to roam as well. He doesn't rotate as quickly. He needs to stay tethered to the last hits. That's his downfall. So people think that him scaling is a positive for him, and it is, but it's also a negative. It's also a negative because he has to stay on the minions. He has to get the last hits. He has to get the XP. So punish that and go play. Right? So it depends on who you're playing, but if you're playing any normal mid laner, you just leave. You just leave. Only a specific handful of champions can actually beat Vlad in lane. Yeah, you don't necessarily kind of like beat Vlad. You kind of go even with him and just interact outside away from him. It's the same thing in the mid game. You can kind of just push out side waves and you either get way more income than him in the side waves, or he comes and match you in the side lane and then you go fight on the objective. And it's really hard for Vlad to do his job if you abuse his need to be on the minions. Put his team so far behind. Yeah, exactly. This guy's getting to it. The rest that supposedly do well into him are ones that can shove and roam. Well, and since he has no wave clear, any champion can do it, right? This is how I'd beat him on Annie. Annie has awful wave clear, right? But I would be able to, when I had a bounce wave, I would slow push it. And then I would build up 2 or 3 waves and I would crash it and I would just leave. And it's like, he can't leave with me. He has to farm under that tower. He can't step up to stop the slow push because then if he's trading on my dime, then he can't use his W, he can't use his Q, his empowered Q as well, right? Zam, you're on your last game for your gold promo. Hey, good luck, dude. If you don't feel ready though, yeah, absolutely do it. Do what Presort said. Get some rest, man. That's what I'm doing. I was going to play one more in my block, but I'm just burnt, so we're not doing it. Hey, what's going on, Tyrannosaurus Rex? Hey, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you watching and everything. That's awesome, dude. Welcome, welcome. Your team has a lot of tanks and MR champs. These days, you can actually outscale Vladimir. Yeah, and scaling is always relative. That's a good point. There are some games where Vladimir can't do his job that well. He doesn't actually end up scaling well, even though his stats look nice. There's a Masters player. What is he saying? So I think they're supposed to outlane them, but it's not necessarily doable. Champions are weak early, but they also have some defensive tools. Their true weakness is in early mid game. I'm not sure I entirely agree with this, especially on Kassadin's part, because on Kassadin, you can always like crash a wave in its face. Like you can always get priority on wave 1, then you can always crash wave 2, and then you just wait for wave 3 to bounce, and then you always freeze forward to infinity. So Kassadin, you should have it lead on pre-6 always. There's pretty much no excuse. There's almost no champion where it's okay to be even with a Kassadin level 6. Vladimir though this is definitely a lot more true. Yeah. Absolutely. But they won't beat you in a 3v3, 4v4. Yeah, so I don't entirely agree with this whole point, but the idea that you have to take skirmishes is true. Oftentimes as well, people never like lose lane to Kassadin and Vladimir. They always lose to themselves because they're not happy with being up 10 CS or 15 CS. But being up 15 CS and roam prio is a big, big lead. Oftentimes people try to press too hard. You can't press too hard. Okay, good stuff. Early executioners against Vlad is bait. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, don't finish your mythics, get to your spikes, and then roam around the map. Okay, so good stuff. That's a good question. I can definitely understand the frustration because Vladimir is definitely unintuitive, but I like the replies there. When do you feel a champion's been mastered? Around what amount of points? Whoa, this is a wild question. Okay, so let's read it fully before we really comment. I know each champion is different. A Warwick might be faster to master than a Kiana, but as a generalization, which number do we put the ballpark figure on? I have around 150,000 as a low elo Elise. I don't feel I've mastered her, but for around the last 200 to 300 hours on her, I don't see any striking improvements. Not to float my own boat, but I feel pretty darn good on her. I don't feel like I'm a master of the champion. So that's the key, right? He said low elo Elise. You don't master things through time, right? And my dad actually has a really good example of this. He always says, you know, we all drive, right? Especially if you still go to work, you still commute to work. In America, like we drive a ton, but we're not all NASCAR drivers, right? We don't have those skills. Even if you're driving like 20 hours a week for your entire work life, you're still not a NASCAR driver. You still don't have those skills. Why? You have the time. You have the time put into the practice, but it's because we haven't gotten valuable practice. We haven't been pushing boundaries. We haven't been getting all that kind of stuff. That's what mastering a champion's about. It's not about time or mastery. It's about rank. That's what it's really about. I like to call ranked the great equalizer, right? The ladder doesn't care about your real life. It doesn't care about your skin color. It doesn't care about your gender. It doesn't care about anything. It says if you win, you go up. If you lose, you go down. It's that simple. And it's like, if you know you're champion, you go up. If you don't, you stay the same, but you go down, right? So it's like, you've mastered a champion once you're at the top of it. Almost nobody's mastered a champion. Well, and even when you're at the very top, there's still theoretical improvements, but this is definitely a very weird question. You haven't mastered the champion and the ceiling is practically infinite, but the ladder is how you tell. I would pay zero attention to mastery points. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. When your improvement is no longer tied to improvement with the champion, but of the game overall. Where's 100 to 150 games? No, that's not how you mastered a champion. That's how you learned how to play the champion, so it's not taking up too much mental stat. Right? Because you can do that in 50 to 100 games. But you do not master a champion in 50 to 100 games, right? Even a champion as simple as TRYND. Or like I was rank 1 Annie for all of last season. It took me thousands of games to master her and become rank 1 on her. Thousands. Not 50, not 10, because she's a simple champion. I was able to play the game on her at 10. The mechanics kind of got quiet in my brain. I was able to focus on the game. That doesn't mean you master her. It means you're comfortable enough that the mechanics aren't the main focus for what you're trying to do. So yeah, I don't agree with this take at all. Mastery points tell you nothing about a true mastery. Yeah, right. Quality games with deliberate practice. That's the key. A higher elo player will achieve higher champion mastery with 10,000 mastery points than an iron player with 100,000. 100%. This is a really, really, really good reply. This deliberate practice thing goes back to the driving analogy. I like that a lot. Okay. Why some ADCs deal less damage when I play them? Because you don't know how they work is the short answer, but let's read this. Hello, I'm currently playing AD. My main champ used to be Caitlyn and Vayne, but I'm changing because I've been feeling that Caitlyn isn't doing the huge big fat damage she used to when you trap people in early levels. So I'm playing Sivir. Every time I play her, I feel like her auto doesn't do any damage. I'm literally in turret mode where I'm auto attacking so much and nothing seems to be happening. This is a rant post. This is troll. Yeah. And end up silver. This is actually a pretty funny question because this is something new players tend to do a lot. They'll see a champion that like beats them really hard and then they'll pick it themselves and then they won't know how to replicate it. Or they'll see a champion that's supposed to do lots of damage, like Ezreal, very high DPS, and they'll play it and they won't know how to execute it. And it won't go well. So if you ever find yourself thinking something like this, it's because there's something you're missing. And that's definitely one of the, we were actually talking about this on stream earlier today. It's really hard for low elo players to kind of get into the swing of learning the game because you don't know what you don't know. So it's very easy to think that your teammates are the problem, or it's very easy to think that you don't have control, or it's very easy to think that you're a lot better than you are, right? This is very similar to the mastery question. It's like, you think you have more mastery than you do because you don't actually know what you don't know, and you don't know a lot. And there's no easy way to say that, but the short answer to the question is like, yeah, you just don't know what you're saying, which is like, not even in a mean way, just in a, that's why you're not doing as much damage as somebody else. Okay. Couldn't do a thing against Mundo as an ADC. Mid and bot won their lane, but top jungle got really fed. The thing is me, Kaisa, and the enemy Mundo is fed. So I can't kill him even in team fights. He just hits me 2 or 3 times and I'm dead. I also can't kite because of Ghost. He just takes my damage. I'm getting... Okay. Let's see the game he's talking about. Build's fine. He's just more fed than you. In the academy, we have a rule where if you get ace in one of your games, we just call it a write-off. Ace means you were the best player on you were the best performing player on your team. So it's like, if you're the best performing player on your team, you will climb if you keep playing like that. If you keep getting this fed. Because the enemy team only has a 20-6 Mundo, like 1 in 10 games at best. You know what I mean? So if we go on to the op.gg, this player is going to complain about this game, but they're not going to talk about the game that were 0-6. Or it's like, this is the reason we're still bronze. Or this game, where they had a fed jungle and everybody else was strong and you still weren't able to carry. This game is much more important. Or this game where you go 5 and 9. Right? So that's another thing that low elo players kind of struggle with, is they don't realize what games are the most important for them to kind of improve on. You don't improve on the game that you played really well in. You improve on these ones. You cut off the bad parts first. You always in League. League is a consistency game. This is your good hand. This is your good games. You don't fix your good games. You cut out the bad ones. And that brings your average up a ton. Because League is an average game. Right? So we're talking about average performances. It's so easy to cut out your bottom. Right? It's so easy to cut out the bad ones. Actually, let's see what the comments were. Does anybody say that? Build-wise, I would have gone Kraken, Bork, Insu, Rageblade. I disagree, but it doesn't actually matter, right? People are going to talk about builds. People are going to talk about positioning maybe. It's like, it actually doesn't matter. You played that one well. Good job. Do it again. You have to be... Don't know, anti-heal items. It's like, it doesn't really matter. Having one would be nice, sure. Yeah, so everybody's kind of missing the point in this post. I'm disappointed with the quality of this post. Shame on everybody. That's I'm gonna tell you here to give. Yeah, see, like this. That's kind of the thing. It doesn't actually matter. Law Coach Gabby's on here. Yeah, so it's like the point Even Gabby here is missing the point. Like, the point is he played well. Just go next and do it again. Recently coming back to the game and looking for chill marksman streamers to watch for the game. That's just a question post. Resources for returning players. They're just asking for videos. How to play Evelyn. I don't really want to read a champion specific one. One of the easiest ways to rank up in low elos is literally just be nice to people. Okay, this is interesting. To preface this, I'm not a high elo player or an expert at the game, as I've only been playing for 2 years, so this advice may not be as technical or tangible as some other posts. However, I do believe there's merit to what I'm saying. I mean, most players unintentionally throw a lot of their games by choosing to be toxic. I like that phrasing. Being toxic is a choice, absolutely. But rather from a psychological standpoint. A myriad of studies show that positive reinforcement tends to be more effective than negative reinforcement. I can vouch for this based on my experience in my own games. Saying things like good job, nice try, nice. When your support does something, it can go a long way in strengthening your in-game power as a bot lane. Junglers and midlaners are more likely to gank your lane. I 100% agree. I actually think the psychological aspects go further beyond what he's saying. Positive reinforcement. Yes, that is something that you want to do. People are addicted to getting told nice things. So if you were nice to them, they get addicted to whatever they were doing that makes you say the nice thing. So that's absolutely, I agree with. But beyond that, being a positive person and focusing on the positives actually focuses you on the positives. So you yourself don't feel like you're the victim as much. Where focusing on the negatives does the opposite. If you keep focusing on your inting teammate and you keep typing at him and you focus on your other inting teammate and you keep focusing on the bad plays, all of a sudden you're the victim with bad teammates, right? If you focus on all the good plays, you're a teammate with teammates, right? And that's it. So not only does it help your teammates' mentals, which is kind of whatever, I don't really care, but it also helps your mental, and that's the power in being nice. So absolutely, I agree, especially in low elo, like gold and below, where you really need to facilitate good, positive, a good positive relationship with the game. This is how you do it. Be nice to yourself, be nice to others around you, and the game will feel better. Like it's actually crazy how powerful this psychology is, but 100%. Oftentimes I'll get into a coaching session with somebody and it'll be like a live coaching and look into the game. I'm like, oh, I'm so stupid. Or like, oh man, I'm such an idiot. And I'm like, whoa. And people who are doing this, they tend to be in that silver to gold range. And it's like, whoa, it's going to be brutal to climb like that. You can't, right? You're going to become your own victim. You gotta positive reinforce yourself. And if you're going to call yourself dumb, you got to at least call yourself smart when you are smart, right? That's what I don't get about toxic people. They're so one-sided, right? If you're going to negative reinforce somebody, you at least got to match it with positive reinforcement, right? But absolutely, I agree. Absolutely, I agree. If nothing else, it makes the game more enjoyable. Absolutely. And if you enjoy it more, you tend to play more and you get better practice and you're more positive about it. It's a positive feedback loop. This is 100% true. A lot of low elo games are decided by mental booming. Yeah. A lot of games in all elos actually, not just a low elo thing. So sometimes I'll actually do things like I'll give buffs or I'll give waves or whatever just to save mentals, which is significant. Okay, I think we'll call it there. So today we just went through Summoner's Rift, or Summoner's School, sorry. Let me know if there's any other subreddits you guys would like me to dive into. Let me know if you guys like this. This is our second Reddit Reacts episode. So leave any ideas in the comments if you guys liked it. Let me know if you guys made it to the end of the video. I'll go give you guys a heart. I appreciate y'all. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.